News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Hour number 3 already. My gosh, 10:05. I want to play this again real quick. It's not long. It is a woman who is coming up and yelling at this lady, swearing at her for having Donald Trump, the devil, yard signs for the devil on her lawn. And I've got the transcript if it's a little hard to understand with the swears being bleeped out.
I want to know how you can vote.
We can't answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
Shameful.
Are you the one that walks by here and always screaming at people?
No, I haven't walked by recently.
Okay, because a lot of people walk by and scream.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You are voting for the devil. Don't you know that?
No.
Why are you voting for him?
Because I believe he is the moral candidate.
Oh, my God. You for that one.
That's
moral?
Exactly right. That's how your side acts.
Oh, my God.
That's
He's
how
the
you
most
guys...
immoral person around.
In your opinion, that's okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. God bless you.
Isn't that great? F you. Oh, my God. F you for that one. But you're voting for the devil. Don't you know that? Why are you voting for him? That's how your side acts. The lady says to her, yelling at her, and he's the most moral person. F you. Yeah, that's... And then the woman trailed off before marching back down the porch steps. And the neighbor, of course, wished her a pleasant day, prompting her to return around and give her the finger. So you think maybe she's is she, the lady screaming at her for being a Trump voter, you think maybe she converted the Trump voter with that? Think she's maybe a convert now? Do you think, does this work maybe? I mean, Obama's shaming black men, saying they despise the women, they don't want to vote for women, the brothers, as he calls them. Spike Lee was shaming them yesterday, too. He said, my brother Obama's got it right from his multi-million-dollar flat in New York City. Telling you guys making 15, 13, 20 bucks an hour, just barely getting by, working 2 or 3 jobs. He's telling you, hey, get off your butt, and Kamala's going to give you free welfare checks and weed. Because that's all you do anyways, brothers. So get out there, get out of your, get out of your apartment that's in a high crime area, and go smoke some weed and go vote for Kamala. That's all you are. Just vote. Shut up and vote. Shame on you from the rich men who have all the power. So my gosh. I have neighbors pretty much next door to me that have all the radical leftist stuff on their front yard everywhere. And we get along with them real well because there was an issue earlier on, and it had nothing to do with politics. There was an issue that I'll leave out of the stuff, but it was they had some serious apologies to do for what they did, and they gave me a little fruit basket and something. He came over and apologized. So I was like, all right, it's cool. And that was way early on, and we've worked hard to have a good relationship with them because it's not about politics. But they do stop people in my neighborhood and like anonymous randomly, and they say, hey, who are you voting for? I'm like, oh my God. One of my neighbors told me that. Almost all of us are voting for Trump on my area. In my street that we communicate with too, which is about 60% of the street at least, and 50 to 60% at least. And they asked one of my elderly neighbors, who are you voting for? She's like, Trump. And she's like, why? And she told her, and it wasn't confrontational, but it's like, who goes up to a neighbor and just starts asking that? It's bizarre. And we're not even in a swing state, but oh well. But it's okay. We have a good relationship with them. Their kids came over and we're selling lemonade, and I bought 2 of them for them and gave them twice the money they asked for because I want to encourage that. That's about love and neighborliness and helping each other out. And I think about, so my wife finally said today, fine, because I said, she ripped on me. I said, can I buy a Trump sign finally? She goes, yeah, you told me, her friend told on me to her and said, yeah, Chris says you won't let him buy a yard sign on the radio. And my wife was all offended. I'm like, it's true. I wasn't complaining. I was just saying I want to do it, but she doesn't want to. I'm not going to, so I've been asking her gently, and finally today she said, fine. I think, I gently bugged her, and she's also a little ashamed of this. So I'm going to get that, and I might get a Cruz one, but Cruz is going to win by 4. 2 to 4 points. Let's go to Mike in Plano. My questions on this are: why are they so angry and yelling all the time at us? Yesterday, Kamala was doom and gloom. I think what's going on is conservatives are Republicans tend to be in marriages. They tend to be in marriages longer. Divorce is less of an option. I know that happens just as much per se, but if you're married for a long time, you're much happier with the same person. If you have family, if you believe in God, and you have community with your church and community that doesn't revolve around this. It doesn't revolve around politics. It's not my religion. It's not my existence. I'm blessed. This is my job. You have no idea how much I just love to consume news and be smart and in the know on this stuff. But it's, I don't do much of it outside, although I get very passionate talking about my son. But do you have political yard signs? Which ones? And what kind of bad reactions have you gotten or heard of your neighbors getting that have Trump signs? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. The joy vibes are not there with that neighbor yelling at her and swearing at her. Mike in Plano, WBAP, what's up?
Hey, Chris. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am doing great. Listen to what you just said before that. I agree with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been married, we're coming on 40 years, and my Trump sign in the yard is an American flag and an appeal to heaven flag.
I like it.
I do not have a Trump flag. I would love a Cruz flag, but I think if you've got an American flag flying in front of your house, you're probably for Trump.
Yes, I agree. That is obvious. I have two neighbors within a couple blocks that have Trump signs and Cruz signs. I have one neighbor with a Cruz sign, and none of my elderly and similarly aged neighbors who are conservative type have any signs. And I asked them last time if they wanted some, just because I know they vote that way, and they didn't. They were afraid, and I think they're widows, they're elderly, so I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And but I did, and nothing happened to mine. I had cameras on them and everything. Nothing happened to them. It's quite interesting, and I'm not going to hit anybody's sign. My neighbor last year, my liberal neighbor, was attacking somebody on next door who stole the sign, whoever it was. It wasn't me. And he's, that Trump sign with the hair and it says no.
Yeah,
he's had that on his front lawn after Trump lost in 2020. Through the whole 4 years he wasn't president, and it's still out there now. But I don't get mad. I just, again, I overlook overlook the offense and move on. Right?
Yeah. Well, driving around Plano, riding my bike around Plano, I see very few signs at all. I see quite a few American flags, and I see a few Harris signs, and I'm thinking, what in the world are you thinking?
Yes.
But, yeah, I go with the American flag, and my brothers told me that. Just put the American flag out, because they're not going to put out an American flag.
Yeah. Wow. So have you ever had issues? Have you had anybody with your neighborhood with issues? Have you heard of any of that stuff where people are getting shaken down or harassed over their signs?
No, but we don't have a sign. We just fly flag.
Right on. Okay, brother. Appreciate your call. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. So there's the official yard sign. If you place it before 10:25, it may not arrive on Election Day. There it is from the Trump campaign. Right there. If anybody knows how I can get an official one quicker in one of our local areas here, let me know. I'd love to come grab one from you. Happy to buy it. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Political neighbors or people yelling at you or freaking out or stealing your yard signs. And what do you put up? I wanted to comment one more thing on that on my way out. I like to, I don't mind sending a little message, but I know it's also got to be done not in the wrong way or anything. But my political message is quite simple. One of my neighbors, like when he first saw me on my lawn, mowing my lawn with my open carry, my front lawn mowing, He's like, I knew I'd like you. It was so funny. I knew we agreed in our values. It was hysterical when we finally got to talking one day. And I mean, I go out there to spray my yard for bugs, spray the house around the house for bugs. My manual, do maintenance every 3 months. I'm packing outwardly. When I'm mowing my lawn, I'm packing outwardly. When I'm doing the edging, trimming, and blowing, I'm packing outwardly. Not to show off or to be whatever, but you can't get it very easily with the shirt over it. And if you're sweating and all nasty, plus if a dog comes up and just chomps on my leg, I'm not going to look for it. I'm going to pull it out and pop it in the side and then be safe. Not that it could happen, but it can happen in any neighborhood. It happens all the time. So when or if it does, I'm fine. But it's just fun, and I love it. And my liberal neighbor is like, sometimes he's like, you don't have your gun on you, do you? If we're talking and I'm coming over his line, I'm like, no. I always take it off. It's not on me when I go there because I respect them. You do that. You don't play a game. You respect people on their property and such. And that way you have a friendship. Okay, we'll talk more about the yard signs and neighbors and bad reactions, good reactions you've gotten. I keep waiting for my neighbors to have the Trump signs up to drive by and honk, and they'll look at me and I'm going to go thumbs up. I want to give them encouragement and appreciation. Okay, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Kamala Harris admits the American dream is dead under her and Joe Biden. You're going to hear her say it herself. And my question is, do you agree with Kamala that the American dream is dead under her? And I mean, it's amazing she admits that. And do you think Kamala and Joe killed it or something or someone else? 800-288-WBAP is our number on News Talk 800-820-WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Well, Kamala Harris admits that the American dream is no more. And I want to ask you about that here. She said it today in her interview with, I think it was MSNBC, because the audio just keeps coming in and all the interviews and such keep coming in. And she was asked about that, and she said that the American dream, let me read you the quotation from it. Here we go. Harris admits American dream was dead under Biden administration. Quote, previous generations saw it, not as much anymore. She said, I'm speaking with people of every background, in every area of the country, every age. The idea of the American dream was something that previous generations could count on, and not as much anymore. So it is dead, according to her. And that is quite interesting, isn't it? So I think she's admitting that her administration has totally failed on the economy. And when you look at where we are at, what Black Americans say, here's some Philly Black women interviewed on an MSNBC panel that support Trump in Philadelphia. Here, listen.
Feelings, and let me start with the women here about Kamala Harris.
She's a woman of color. I'm not putting her down because of that, and I'm not putting her down because she's a woman. I'm not a feminist, so I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I don't think that she has the personality. I don't think that she has what it takes to go up against Putin and go up against these other presidents that are built for this. I don't want to be scared because my president is scared. I want my president to feel secure and manly and about it.
We brought up gender, right? Like, do you think it matters that she's a woman and people aren't comfortable having a woman in a top leadership role?
No, I don't think that, because most men, they love their mothers. They love their wives. So as a woman, most men, they respect a woman, but she just don't have the qualification or the education to really run America because she don't have the experience. She don't understand our struggles. And for me to believe you for another 4 years, you're crazy. Right. Like, you're crazy. You're saying the same thing that you said 4 years ago.
Those are some African Americans. There's a part 2 of that I'll play for you in a little bit. But Lawrence Jones doing the barbershop tours, the people are saying, like a 72-year-old African American who went to the rally for Kamala Harris in Albany, Georgia with Bill Clinton. He's like, I loved it, but I'm still voting for Trump for the first time in my life, even though I've been a lifelong Democrat, because what they're doing doesn't work. I can't afford this anymore. I can barely sustain myself. Home sales, the Wall Street Journal reports today on track for the worst year since 1995. That just came out today. Billionaire town in California that's got all the Kamala's policies in San Francisco area is going broke because of the policies. I'll share that with you coming up next. So this is what the liberal Democrats do. And did you hear what they were telling us to do lately? This was in the Washington Post, I think they were saying. You need to move into a small townhome. That should be you should scale down your dreams in America. You should just live in a small townhome with a small yard, and you'll be happy. You just do their plans, and they'll work for you, regardless of whether you want them or not. And you stay there, you make less pay, you pay more for living, and you live in a smaller place. You buy an EV that you can't afford. You get $3,000 or more for a charging station at home, and then every 4 to 5 years, you buy $15,000 to $25,000 for a new battery on the same car that's more expensive than gas cars. And you buy solar panels, and in 25 years they go bad. They go into the ground, and then LA Times says they believe they're causing heavy metal leakage into the ground water. So you do that. And you're happy. That's what you're supposed to do. 800-288-WBAP. Do you agree with Kamala that the American dream is dead? And do you think Kamala and Joe killed it, or someone, or something else? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. They spent $5.8 trillion in 3.5 years, more than twice what Trump spent. Kamala was a tie vote in 3 of those. They lit inflation on fire, according to 2 former top Obama economists, Larry Summers and Mark Furman. They said, don't do this, don't do these bills. You passed Kamala and with a tie-breaking vote, and they did, and they said you're going to cause inflation, and it did. Mike in Fairview, you got 15 seconds. I want to hear from you, brother. You have some good news.
Yes, sir. So I have 2 banners. They are 18 inches tall by 11 feet long. I will let you choose which one you want, and you can have it for free.
Free! I'll put you on hold. I'll check. Free! Do you remember? You know where that movie is from?
No.
It's Mel Gibson's History of the World. He's in that prison, and the old guy, and he's been there all his life, and his bird is dead. And he's like, fly, you're free! And he's like, throws him up in the air, and he just drops dead. He thinks he's alive. Stand by, I'll put you on hold. Free! All right, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, Wall Street Journal's Jason Riley. Why are Democrats losing black voters? I've got audio to go along with that, too. Why do you think so many black voters are leaving the Democrat Party? That's coming up next on the Chris Crock Show at 33 after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. 800-288 WBAP is our number. Free! News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset at 800-288 WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. That's our number. Kamala Harris, why are so many black folks not digging her? And why are so many black men not digging her? You'll hear from Jason L. Riley, a fantastic longtime columnist at the Wall Street Journal, in his Upward Mobility column, focusing on African Americans a lot, but not in every single one he does, not in every single editorial he does. But they talk about why she is so unpopular with black men and black people in general compared to Obama, when she's supposedly the first, the next she's the black female version of Obama, or whatever you want to say, whatever they say. But first, I did want to finish this off. So this is why Kamala and Joe have killed the American dream. She says it's dead, and she's right. And it's because she killed it, along with Joe, by spending 3 times what 2.5 times what Trump did in the same time frame. And he had COVID, is what he spent most of that money on, because the country was shut down and businesses and workers were shut down across this country, and foolishly, as we now know. But the last part about the Kamala Harris and Joe Biden killing the American dream. A town that's run with Kamala policies is the San Francisco area town. The Wall Street Journal editorial board points out this: the Portola Valley has a lot of billionaire residents, yet it's struggling to pay its bills. because the progressive government eventually runs out of everybody's money, they say, even when they're super rich. Last week, they raised alarms about dwindling cash resources because they have a new sheriff's contract and the state's affordable housing mandate. Town of 4,500 has this is only 4,500 residents. They have 1.6 million in general reserves, all committed to paying retiree benefits. That's classic Democrat town, right? They're just overloaded with retiree benefits. They negotiated a rich new labor agreement with the sheriff's office, and the costs are passed on to locals. Sheriff's payments are increasing to $2.1 million next year from $1 million, so they're doubling. Other employment costs soaring as they're paying millions for consultants to comply with California's affordable housing mandate, subsidizing housing, affordable housing. The towns the houses in the town are now worth $3.8 million on average. State has threatened to withhold federal funding and state grants if they don't rezone to force in multifamily housing, low-income housing. This is the essence of Kamala's housing plan, the Journal says. Leveraging taxpayer dollars to compel states and localities to build more low-income housing, to dump crap in your neighborhood, low-income housing that you don't want. And that's okay to say that. It's okay to say, I'm not going to destroy my neighborhood with a bunch of folks that can't afford housing in my community. That's just okay to do. Every one of our suburbs and cities has areas that get help. And I'm not necessarily against that. But what I am against is coming into neighborhoods and towns that are established and forcing them to do something. That's what Kamala wants to do, and that's what this California town is going to do. By the way, he says that's the essence of they say that's the essence of her plan, making this happen, leveraging taxpayer dollars to force states and localities to buy more low-income housing. Perhaps the town that's now broke could ask residents Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn wokester that donates to Kamala, and Vinod Khosla for a donation in lieu of the millions they've contributed to the Democrat groups. Isn't that funny? Yeah, you give millions to Democrats, why don't you just pay for the town? This is one reason why California Governor Newsom and cities sued to block a voter initiative that would have made it harder to raise state and local taxes. Public unions are running out of other people's money, and as usual, they're demanding more. So in rich towns that can't afford Kamala's policies, these $3.8 million value is the average home. They can't afford it. And that's what she'll do to this country, and that's why she destroyed the American dream. It's simple. It's real simple, and one way to put it is it was $1,700 a month for a mortgage when she started with Joe, and now it's $3,300. Look what they've done. Interest rates were like 2% to 3% when they started, 2 to 4% when they started, and now it's 6 to 7%. And that puts $200 to $500 a month on your home at least. At least. I would say probably $300 to $600 a month for the same home that I have that I didn't have to pay in the Trump years. Why are Democrats losing to black voters? Well, maybe these Philly black women can answer that.
So the fact that she's the vice president
That's
to
just
you
the
is
bottom line.
You're like, you've been here, you've had a chance.
Yes. Well, for me, the very first time I ever heard the name Kamala Harris, it was in association to locking up parents for truancy. That was the first time I ever heard of her name. And I really didn't understand how this person claims to be a black woman, but yet she's locking up black women and black men and separating families.
This is a thing that is, Trump talks about this a lot. He says, Kamala Harris became black when it was convenient.
Right.
Yep. Can you talk to me about, do you agree with him on that? Do you feel like she's wearing her blackness?
Absolutely. When she sworn into the Senate, it was as the first Indian American.
Thank you.
Which is, it's fine. We don't care.
We all know she's not black. Let's understand that. We are all clear of that. But my point of view, like I told you earlier, she's already been there. She's in office right now.
Ruh-roh, Rastro. 17.8% of black men in Georgia are going to vote Trump. That's insane. That's 1 out of 5. That's bad numbers for Kamala, who's the first black female running for president. Well, yes, running for president would be the first black female president. She's got a problem. And I'm asking you this. Why do you think so many black voters are leaving the Democrat Party and not voting for Kamala? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I think it's because I heard a very strong discussion with Lawrence Jones this morning on African-American barbershops he's touring. And he says that they literally don't care about abortion stuff. That's and the Wall Street Journal talks about that's a white collar college educated issue. It's not an issue with black folks that are just getting by. They cannot afford to live. They are just barely even making it now. A woman yesterday I was reading a quotation from in Columbus, Ohio, a black woman. She was a lifelong Democrat that went door to door. She was an acorn for Obama. She said she saw no results for so long. She left him, became a Republican, started door knocking. She's a rabid Trump supporter now. And she, here's why also so many black voters are saying they're making the switch. Because they can't afford to do this anymore. It's not helping them, these policies. Robert Woodson Sr. has been a civil rights activist in very difficult, rough communities of African-American, poor black neighborhoods since the 60s. Jason O'Reilly writes about him today in his column. Kamala Harris has not matched, and so Woodson is explaining why she hasn't gotten the level of support among blacks that of other Democrat candidates. She hasn't matched because, well, here's the examples. Biden beat Trump in black voters 90% to 9. Harris is only at 78%. She's 12 points lower than Biden, and Trump is almost double that. He went from 9 points to 15 points right now with blacks. 1 in 4 black men say they definitely or probably will vote for Trump. 20% of all black men. That's remarkably high. Democrats have been running these big cities for 60 years, and black people didn't see the results, Woodson says. If Biden hadn't dropped out of the race, he'd have similar problems with black voters, too. So it's not about her and a race. It's because they remember the unemployment and low inflation. Before the global pandemic shut down the economy, Jason O'Reilly writes, under Trump, listen to this, weekly earnings for blacks. Inflation-adjusted weekly earnings in 2020 under Trump grew 12.5% for black workers. 12.5% in inflation-adjusted weekly earnings. So their earnings went up 12.5% for all black workers, and it went up 12.7% for black men in Trump's first 3 years before the pandemic. White workers were less. White workers saw 7.9 and 8.2% increases in pay. So black men received around 4 to 5% higher wage gains than whites did. And that's good. That's great. Before COVID, black workers were making absolute gains, Riley says, and gaining on their white counterparts. Under Biden-Harris, the inflation-adjusted earnings they're less than 1% among blacks. So you went from 12.7% for black men increase, 12.5% for all black workers. Now you make less than 1. You've lost 11.5%. You've lost 11.5% of your increase in income that you had under Trump, under Kamala and Joe. You'd be an idiot to vote for them. And whites went from 7.9 to, I'm supposed to put it 8%, the increase with adjusted for inflation. Whites got 8% increase. Now they make 1.5% increase under Biden-Harris. So we are making about 6 to 7% less. And don't you feel 6 to 7% less income, which is destroying you? Yes, that's what they've done to us. And so blacks have an 11.7% decrease on wages in the first 3 years of Biden compared to Trump. And there's a 4.8 spread of blacks over whites in the first 3 years of Trump. And that's good. That's great. You make 4.8 more. And there's only a 2.5% spread under Biden. So you're making half of the amount over whites than you did under Trump. It's crazy. I'm going to give you the rest of this in a moment. But I'm asking you again, why do you think so many black voters are leaving the Democrat Party and, or not voting for Kamala right now? And Woodson says, interestingly, even if it was Biden, they still would be voting less for the Democrats because they keep losing. They're not gaining at all. They're getting hurt so badly. They literally don't care about these other stupid things. They're like, I can't afford to freaking live. and you're talking about this and that, you are destroying me. I don't care what you talk about. I don't care about Trump and some dictator or Hitler thing. What are you doing? I can't live. And they're saying this. They're like, what are you doing? She's shooting at a target that's like not even in their view. They don't care about it. I nailed it. They're not even looking at you. They can't afford to look away from what they're looking at. They got in front of them. How do I get food on my plate? And you're doing this crap? Shut up. I'm voting for somebody else. That's it. All right, 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I'll share a little bit more of this intelligence with you. It's actually really good, these data points and status factoids and stuff. And then we're going to have a little bit of fun with Democrats who tried to show they're tough by shooting guns that are for gun control, and they shot one of the reporters. It happened with somebody running for Senate in another U.S. Senate in another state. I'll tell you about that coming up next on the Chris Crock Show. Oh, yeah. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Asking you, why do you think so many black voters are leaving the Democrat Party? 800-288-WBAP, not voting for Kamala right now. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. And let's go to John in Prosper on WBAP. This is WBAP. John, hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good, sir.
Good. You were talking about why so many of them are supporting Trump and not Kamala. Certainly, the illegal immigration is disproportionately affecting their jobs.
Yes, it is. And their homes and their schools.
Yes, exactly. Obviously, the inflation, just like it is everybody else. But when it really changed was when they indicted Trump. If you go back and look at the polling, that did not sit well, particularly with black men. And so I think that plays a pretty big part in it.
Yeah, I mean, do you think anybody that is able to barely afford groceries cares about Donald Trump being indicted for something that's I mean, January 6th or something? Nobody even cares about that.
No, it wasn't the January 6th. It was predominantly down in Georgia.
Yes.
And that did not sit well with them because they can relate to it. They saw Trump as a victim of the system. And if you look at the reaction, when he went to the courthouse, the crowds outside were huge. And you could see the polling with black men really shot up during that time frame.
Right.
So I think that they could relate with him. And so I don't think it's just by chance that happened. So I think that's definitely a part of it. I think, obviously the economy, their jobs being taken, what have you, is bigger. But I do think that played a role, that they actually could relate to Trump. Especially when he helped them out with the First Step Act and was trying to, help their community with that. And then all of a sudden they see him being a victim of the same system that has affected so many in their communities. So I think that, that definitely played a role. How big of a role, I don't know. But that's when the polling for him with black males in particular really started to shoot up.
Interesting. I've thought that too. I've mentioned that when it was going on. I appreciate your call, John. Thank you. 800-288-WBAP is our number. Trump team is now buying ads on the biggest R&B and hip-hop stations in Philly. Wisdom. That's smart. They first reported a major ad buy. They're doing it in Milwaukee, too. And Trump's making significant urban radio buys. That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Tell the story. And that's good. Now, anti-gun, liberal, very progressive Democrat running against Josh Hawley, Missouri, who doesn't mention that in his ads, just that he's a Marine. He literally doesn't know how to have shoot properly with have basic firearm safety. He shot a steel target from around 15 feet away, I believe, and it bounced off because it's steel, and it shot a reporter, and also. I think it may have hit Adam Kinzinger, who was with him. It's so funny. There's just pictures, though. There's no video. And the Kansas City Star says, TV reporter struck by bullet fragment. They literally don't say that it's a guy that doesn't know what he's doing. You don't shoot an AR-15 from like 15 feet or something like that, or whatever, something that close with an AR-15 at a steel thing. We'll talk about this more with your pro-gun calls on how these people don't even know what they're doing, and they're taking away our guns. So, absolute idiots. Paper target, and they're so stupid. Yeah, they want to take away your gun, and they don't know how to handle basic gun safety. All right, we'll do part 2 of this piece in the Journal coming up mañana.